I also wanted to just mention a couple other things. Just sort of a status on Vance Road. If you've driven by there, you know that it's very close to the top of that cut bank, and you certainly don't want to park in the grass there. I don't think I have to tell you that. There is about a 15-foot buffer there, and through these two huge events that we've had in both May and Ike, we haven't lost that buffer. So we're not losing any more of the substantial portion of that buffer. We have had a couple slumps at Vance, and you may see some soil has landed on top of our temporary structures, and that's unfortunate. But it's you know, when you have a block of soil that's undercut, that's sort of just what happens. A little bit of the utilities have been exposed. They were already exposed. Now we have, you know, say 30 feet of utilities exposed instead of 25. So there is a little bit of action there, but as a whole, Vance Road seems to be holding just fine.
In your professional opinion, if this temporary fix wasn't in, what kind of movement do you think we would have seen from Mike?
That was my thought.
Want to give you my unprofessional opinion?
I was like, thank God you put those rocks down, you know, then when you did, because, yeah, I don't know, it'd be to my back door at this point or something.
Right.
Big chunks, and so.
I mean, you know, I'm 33 years old. I've been in this profession for just about 10 years. I have never worked on a project where there's this much active erosion and the rate that we were seeing, and so I could only guess that we would have had more of what we were getting in the years leading up to it. And the rate at which it was falling, you know, we've tracked this thing. MSD has done some tracking of this through survey since I guess about I think the first survey was in
50-something, 54.
Well, there's the general contours, but I'm talking about a very site-specific survey that MSD's been doing and tracking it. I think the earliest one we had is 97 or something like that. But in any case, the rate at which it's increasing from about 1980 until now, there's been a sharp increase in the rate of bank loss in the last 2 years. So just based on that, progression shows that it probably would have encroached onto Vance Road. But I can't really say that.
So we got this going just in time then, pretty much.
Is this soil back here, is this indigenous to this area? Or is this backfill when they built the homes, would you say?
Oh, got it, I understand what you're saying. The great majority of this bluff is indigenous.
Is it okay?
We tried to find some grading plans from when your houses were installed, and the level of tracking and storage of data, of plans and that like that is a lot better now than it used to be. There wasn't a lot of good information on what the grading was in this area. But in general, I'd say that the majority of this bluff is original.
Okay.
Right. There's some 1980 mapping that MSD has, and I guess your homes were built shortly thereafter, just in that time frame. And it appears to be topographically very similar to it was now than it was then.
Because there's not a lot of clay in this land, in the soil, is there?
Right outside, yeah, actually, there's a good amount of clay. It's this. We talked about this, you know, in a great deal, just in what exactly is the composition of the soil, and it is pretty heavy in clay.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why it stands so vertically. And it'll do that. And a vertical face is actually geotechnically stable until it gets wet, until it gets toad scour, until it gets saturated and heavy or over top erosion. Just on a dry day, it's actually geotechnically stable vertically. Now you couldn't go build a house at the edge, but in and of itself, it can hold itself up.
Okay. I'm sorry, we got kind of off the subject there.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Any other questions about the project itself?
When does it start?
We're looking at.
I was going to go ahead and get into that. But if anybody had any other specific questions about the rock and that kind of a thing, then I can go into the mother and minor details. All right.
Timely.
With that, we are still planning to hopefully start this project in the beginning of the year. and I want to say, you know, hopefully around by January, February, obviously we'd like to start the very first of the year. We do have 2 additional temporary construction licenses that we need to get. We have all the TCLs for your guys' property and for the Vance Road, but on the inside of the bend, we have 1 additional TCL that we would need to get from this property owner, and we have 1 additional TCL to get from this subdivision up here. Greg is currently working on that, so we do need those 2 additional pieces of paper.
And you'd have to have those done before you started anything.
Correct.
Right,
We do have
before
to
you
have those.
set a date or anything like that, I guess.
So we are currently working on those. Another thing we still need is we need the permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. We don't foresee that as a problem. They promised it to us. That should come, no problem. Again, the estimated cost right now for the whole project is right at, I want to say, about $2 million.
That includes Vance Road.
That includes the Vance Road. St. Louis County is going to help cost share this with MSD because Vance Road, absolutely, they would like to protect it, and we would like to protect your guys' houses. And kind of with that, I want to kind of get into a little bit something else. Because we are spending almost $2 million to fix the creek right in through here, a couple of things that we are going to want to maybe have you guys as the subdivision owners to help us kind of police it a little bit is when the biostabilization and different plantings and stuff are outside in your beyond your backyard, beyond your property line, we can't really have the leaves being dumped on there. We can't really have the grass clippings, and if that stuff just lays there, kills the roots, plants go away, and we get the same erosion problem that we kind of had before.
And we had talked about this before, and it's going to be maintenance, and it's one thing the subdivision trustees are going to have to undertake as a whole. The other thing, it's been relayed to me as well, that we've seen seen firsthand, and we've seen the results of some dumping of leaves and other debris in the creek bed while we've been out here doing work. That has to stop. Otherwise, those little things are going to start to degrade everything, and that's something we're going to have to turn over to the trustees of the subdivision, and they are going to need to be responsible for and make sure they enforce that, and not just for a couple of years. It's going to have to be lifelong, and it's going to have to be hammered home from group of officers, because it's those little things that long term will impact the viability of this.
And then kind of along those same lines, what we'd like to do is, down where the access road is, to get down to the creek, all the flat part, which is the common ground, we will remove all the rock, we will put the sod back in. At the point where it starts to go down to the creek, we would like to put up some type of a fence there. We can get your guys' input on that kind of a thing. But we would like to put a fence up so that nobody can get down and access the road up and down.
Maybe we need some signs too, just stating that, no dumping, no this, or whatever, just around the general area too. I know that people will ignore them, at some point, but at least, if it's clearly posted, that's a start.
We could put some signs up, that wouldn't be a problem.
You can definitely do that.
Okay.
So we'll restore the common ground, put the grass back. If the sidewalk would happen to get broke again, we'd replace the sidewalk, everything, fix that up. As far as your guys' downspouts, right now you have the corrugated black pipe that goes out and over into the creek. Once the project is complete out here, we are not going to need that corrugated pipe anymore, so it won't be strung across your yard anymore. We can take it off. What we would like to do is just still have those downspouts splash onto grade, splash onto the ground. That's what we would like to do.
You don't want them to go out to the creek anymore if we buried the line?
Well,
will that affect it, or?
If it helps with our sump pump,
It
we
does.
hear it less.
okay.
Which is an issue we have with our own house.
Or
but
whether you
that's-
get a foundation to put it on the yard.